Good morning, good morning, good morning. Thank you for joining me for manifestation time. My name is Phyllis Ridgell-Cowan. I am a real estate broker associate with Orland Park, Coldwell Banker. I'm an affiliate of Coldwell Banker and on what is it on south in the southwest area of the west side of Chicago. I am here today because I have a passion for real estate and I have more of a passion for people being knowledgeable about what it is that they want to do in terms of purchasing. And I want the people that I am working with to be as knowledgeable as possible. So I've taken the liberty of expanding my journey in real estate in my home buying to allow the consumer to speak more in depth with each individual that's involved in the gamut of real estate. So I would love for you to take this opportunity to ask as many questions as you can possible. Today, I'm having a very special guest all the way from the Motor City, coming here to the Windy City to share his wealth of knowledge with us. He loves Chicago. So I know that maybe in sometime during this summer that you may have a chance to actually visit with him and get a chance to know him on a personal level and perhaps even utilize his services. I'm going to let him speak more about what he does, but he is a mortgage broker with a renowned company and is able to help you in 50 states, I believe, or more. He's with us today, and his name is Damiquel Williams. I may have
Yep.
pronounced it incorrectly. However, join us
Nice.
today.
It's all right. Yeah. So Damiquel is the correct pronunciation, but it's all right. I got it. I get everything except for Damiquel sometimes. But D Mike for short. It's a little bit easier to say, a little bit easier to remember as well. But yeah, no. So I work for currently employed with Rocket Mortgage. Is who my current company is. And I am indeed from Detroit and do love Chicago. It's something about it. We almost similar in people when it comes to culture. So. But just a little bit about myself. I'm from Detroit, born and raised. I've been in real estate for a little under 10 years, I would say. Uh, a little under 10 years. I got in pretty early. I would say when I was about 21, I started out in investing. I actually got my first house on a trade. I traded like a motorcycle for a house. It was the craziest thing in the world. Um, and then from there, started investing, flipped the house, got another house, flipped the house, got another house, got some family involved. We bought an apartment unit, sold that, got another house, and kind of went from there. I got into finance a little under four years ago, and that's where we're going. Just been in finance ever since. I'm super passionate about Black ownership, super passionate about Black generational wealth and just Black people in general. So that's what I'm all about. So um,
What
I know we
initially
here talking about.
What
Go ahead.
initially
I'm sorry.
prompted you to make those investments and really get into real estate? What was
So
the
I get yeah, I guess we can call it like a seed was planted. So my dad was into investing when I was younger. So whenever we had talked, he always talked about it. So I kind of like really figured it was the only way to go. He planted the seed in me early, so always talked about it. So the opportunity always presented itself. To say like the universe aligns itself with the things that that you see and talk about. So opportunity presented itself, and I jumped on it. So yep. So it's been up from there, to be honest.
now,
But
how did you go from actually investing to becoming a
so
lender?
I thought it to be another tool in my tool belt. So not really. I mean the knowledge is always nice to have, but I was like, man, I would love it to be able to like finance my own deals. I'm not really the case right now. I mean, kind of, but not necessarily. But it's something that I knew of already, and I wasn't working. I wasn't employed at the time, so I figured I hop into finance and been making good money ever since, and it's been a vehicle to actually fund more investments. So that's always nice.
Goes to show you if Democrat can do it, you can do it too.
Oh, for sure, yeah. And I started early too. I was like 20 when I got my first house. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Okay.
you know,
Well, tell us more.
yeah,
Tell
for
us.
sure. So I know that we're here talking about the mortgage process. So in all actuality, I just want to just kind of like dive into it and kind of like let people know what's needed to actually obtain a mortgage. To be exact. So. I always tell my clients, like when people they're looking to like buy a home and they don't know where to start, first you have to come up with the idea like, hey, I think I want to buy a house, right? Whatever that reason is for you, that reason is for you. You know, whether you tired of renting or you living with some family or you having kids and family is expanding, your reason is your reason. So you first it's for the idea like, hey, I want to buy a house, right? Make sure that it makes sense for you. Some people say renting is more beneficial. I'm gonna be pro home ownership all the way, all the time, in every situation. Um, and then we can dive into that a little bit later on.
Oh,
But things you need to have is basically a little bit of money saved, a little bit of credit, and a little bit of money saved, a little bit of credit, and some type of income coming in, right? So you need to have an idea of how much money you want to spend,
mhm.
as far as like the actual house, how much you want to pay on a monthly basis, and then like how much money you have set aside as well.
How much money
So
do you suggest that when people are actually interested in purchasing to have set aside?
there isn't really a set amount, to be quite honest. I'm gonna dive into that here a little bit more in detail here, surely, but there isn't a set amount. But I'll circle back around to you on that. So once you have the idea that you want to buy a home, then you typically want to reach out to like a real estate professional. Most people always know a realtor in the area, so they would call someone like yourself. So it's like, hey, I'm thinking of buying a home. Generally, you would point them in a direction of my way or any lender way because you know that they need a pre-approval unless they buy in cash, which I don't know. I ain't got $200,000 set aside to buy a house in cash, so most likely you're gonna need some finance. So you would get in contact with someone like myself, and then we kind of go through the process of getting you pre-approved.
Mhm.
So what the pre-approval process entails is a few different things. So I always tell my clients like this on the first phone call. The first phone call is pretty simple. You and I, we have a regular conversation. Just want to get a feel for what the overall goal is, what you're looking to do as far as the home purchase, like whereabouts, how much, who with, if you're buying with a spouse or a partner. We review credit, income, assets together, and then we kind of see where we land as far as an actual approval amount from there, right? So with all that, with all that being said, we do dive into income, credit, and then assets as well, right? So generally, before we even get into that, you decide on a lender that you want to choose. Of course, I'm always say myself, I'm the best in the business, coolest guy around, to be honest, and I work for one of the best companies in the country. But in all actuality, you can decide on any lender you want to decide on. We all just about damn near do the same thing. I always tell my clients, I don't care who you go with, you work with somebody who's comfortable with you. You know, I'm not compatible with every client. I mean, every client's not compatible with me. When I'm on the phone, I talk my talk. You know, I talk like me. Every client don't like that. They don't look like me. They don't talk like me. So they don't really understand my style of sales, you can call it. But just like my style of just dealing with people and their financing. So we are going to do the exact same thing. We are going to offer you the exact same product, so on and so forth. Now, companies may vary, um, product may vary company to company, but for the most part, we all got the exact same thing. We all get our rates from the feds, and we give the rates to you at a little bit of a premium. So um, once you find a company that you actually liking or a broker that you want to go with, you can give them a call like, hey, I'm ready to buy a house. And what's the steps? Now, I'm going to ask you a few questions. Once again, dive into income, credit, assets. We're going to have to get a copy of the credit report pulled up. No way around it. Most clients are afraid or don't want to get a copy of the credit report pulled up, but it is required. That's the foot in the door. You can't do anything without knowing exactly what you qualify for. Now, the great thing is you only need a 580, which which is I think is pretty like a moderate credit score. It's not that bad. Some clients don't have the 580. I never tell a client no. I generally put together a game plan of what's actually needed for that client to get to a 580. Now at Rocket Mortgage, we do have a program called Credit Upgrade. basically what they do is they take a look at your overall credit profile and see exactly what we got to do to get you to that 580 mark or the qualifying score to get you qualified for the mortgage. Now, in order to get you in that program, you do have to have at least a 560. So you can't come to me with like a 450 like do like, hey, can you enroll me in the credit upgrade program? I'm sorry, we gotta, we gotta have a little something for us to help out. So generally you have to have a 560 to get you enrolled in the program. With that 580, what happens is the door open up for you to qualify for what's called FHA, just a federally backed mortgage program. Ideally, we'd like to see you at least a 620, but 580 gets your foot in the door. There's a few more guidelines, a few more hoops you have to jump through with the 580, but we can start the process. So once you have at least your 580, or ideally 620, then we move on to the next step, which is verifying income. So once we verify that you have a job, or maybe you may have some type of fixed income, Social Security, pension, VA, disability benefits, or whatever it may be, then we move on to assets. We move on to assets, which is how much money you have set aside. Now, generally for our first-time home buyers and home buyers in general, you would need anywhere from, like, I would say, a 3 to a 5% down payment. If you purchased a home before, very, very minimal, you're looking at a 5% down payment. If this is your first time, then you're looking at a 3% down payment. And when I say first-time home buyer, in all actuality, what I mean is you haven't been on title of a home in the past 3 years. So you may have purchased a home in the early 2000s. If you got rid of that home and you haven't been on title, if you haven't bought a home in the past 3 years, then you're considered a first-time home buyer again. If you bought a home in 2020 and you sold a home in 2020 anyway, and it's now 2024, you're considered to be a first-time home buyer again. So you would qualify for that 3% down payment. Now, on top of your actual down payment, you have to have closing costs as well, which is generally like another 3%, but we'll circle back around to that here in a little bit. Okay. So once you have all that, you get all that information to me, and then I do my due diligence, kind of digging into all of your information. Generally have to send me a pay stub, 2 years of W-2s, and also your asset statement where you're pulling the money from, whether it's a savings or a checking account, or if you're pulling from a retirement account, or if you're getting a gift from like a mom or a dad or grandmother, whoever it may be. And then we see where we land as far as an actual approval amount. Now, how much you will qualify for. Generally, we like to see that the debt to income ratio is less than 50%. So debt to income is basically how much money you bring in on a monthly basis versus how much money you spend on a monthly basis. Now, when I say spend, I mean like that's reporting to your credit report. So that may be credit cards, that may be student loans, that may be car payments, so on and so forth. We don't include light bills. We don't include insurance or anything that's not like cell phone bills, anything that doesn't report to the credit report. So in order to do that math, you just take your annual income divided by 12 or your monthly income, and we do use a gross income, meaning your income before taxes. Take your monthly gross income, cut it in half, whatever that number is. That's what you can't exceed monthly, including a mortgage payment for your overall monthly expenses. So just for simplicity, if you make $5,000 a month, cut that in half, it's be $2,500. Your monthly expenses can exceed $2,500. That's all of your credits that you have on your credit report plus a mortgage payment, just to kind of simplify it for you. Once that's all said and done, you have what's called a pre-approval. Now you're free to start shopping. Someone like a Phyllis would show you homes out in the market. And then you shop around, get an offer accepted. Once the offer is accepted, then you call me again. We kind of go through everything with the fine-tooth comb, how much everything's going to cost you, what the process is from there, and then in about 30 to 45 days, you'll be a homeowner.
Now, let me ask you this.
Yes.
You mentioned something about the 580 score, between 580 and 620. What would be the interest rate based on, I know you can't really tell us exactly, but I'm just saying from a consumer standpoint. Do
Yes.
I have to be concerned about my interest rate being higher or lower because my credit score is low or high?
Yeah, great question. So, yes and no. So, mortgages, we have a few different programs. So if we're looking to go FHA, which is a government backed program, generally you're going to get the same exact interest rate if you are a 580 or if you are an 850. It doesn't matter what your credit score is, you're going to get the exact same interest rate. Nothing is going to change. Now, if we're looking to go conventional, conventional is what's called risk-based pricing, meaning we take into consideration all of the factors, all of the following factors: your credit score, your complete financial profile, so your credit score, your debt to income ratio, how much money you're putting down, property type, and also location. Location meaning like in New York, we have to do 60-day rate locks. Chicago and Illinois is not that, or in Indiana, that's not the case. But
No,
just
what?
for
I'm sorry.
no, it's okay. Just for you know, the sake of the example, just wanted to let everybody know.
Mhm.
Now, going conventional, you would have a rate that's based upon your complete financial profile, but for the FHA, no.
What is FHA?
Like the meaning of the program is it's a so FHA is an acronym for um give me the guessing, Federal Housing Association. I'm not mistaken, or Federal Housing Administration, one or the other. But basically, it's a government-backed program that I don't want to say like a less qualified buyer, but it helps clients who don't have the 20% down payment, who don't have the 700 credit score, still obtain financing. A little bit more lenient when it comes to guidelines to getting clients in home. So generally, instead of having a 50% debt to income ratio, we would accept a 57% debt to income ratio, which is um, not that big of a difference, but enough to make a difference for a client if you have higher debt. Generally, I still like to see it below 50%, even if we are going FHA. Top of that, there's also a 3.5% down payment requirement, which you have to bring. No if and buts about it. You can't bring 3%. You can't bring 1%. You have to bring that 3.5%. Even if the seller is paying for your closing costs, which I'll circle back around to that here shortly as well. But you're required. So, for example, if you're buying a home for $100,000, you have to bring at least $3,500 for your down payment.
Do you have to have that money seasoned? Meaning, do you have to have it for a while in your account, or can it be something you get immediately before you close?
Yep. So we just Rocket Mortgage anyway. We just changed our guideline to where we can actually accept money that you'll be receiving in process. So let's say if you want to use like your paychecks in process, or you're 2 months out from closing or 30 days away from closing, you get paid two more times, then you can use your future income um, for your actual down payment. However, if you just found some money on the street, or you just hit the lottery or whatever it may be, you got some El Chapo money is what I call it. You want to throw in your account. That money has to season to for at least 2 months.
Mhm.
We any large deposits, my underwriters will flag it, and they will not accept any large deposits that have not been in the account for
When you
at
say
least
large
2 months.
deposits, meaning what amount?
Yeah, so large deposits vary client to client. I believe it's 1% of your actual monthly income, if I'm not mistaken, or not 1% of your monthly income, 1% of the actual loan amount, if I'm not mistaken. I have to dive into my guidelines, but generally anything more than like 2 or 3 grand is flagged as a large deposit.
Have you heard of a gift letter? Have you
Yep.
heard of that?
So
Is that
so
something?
gifts
Mhm.
gifts are common, actually more common than what people think. So people receive a gift from grandma, or you might receive a gift from mom or dad.
Mhm.
Any large deposits have to be traceable, right? So let's say you sold a car, and you got that money into your account, then that's fine as long as it is traceable. We need like an appraisal on the car, and then also um like a bill of sale.
Mhm.
If mom and dad is giving you some cash, then that's fine as well. As long as we can show that the money is coming out of her account and into your account, then that's fine. Then you just need like a gift letter, which you'll fill out, mom will fill out, you'll fill out, mom will fill out, and then we'll get everything going for you. I see a comment that says, "Are no doc loans a totally thing of the past?" Yes. I wasn't even doing mortgages or thinking about doing real estate when no doc loans were around. So yeah, it's a wrap on no doc loans. The government is on top of everything. Um, we need paper trail and paperwork for everything that comes through. So
So you mentioned earlier about disability. People with disability can actually afford to buy a home or they can qualify for a home and they have
yes,
loans too. Can you tell us more about those?
yeah, for sure. So once again, so we would accept any income as long as it's it's on paper and there's nothing like fraudulent about it. Um, so the way that it works is we still use 50%, the 50% debt to income ratio. So for example, if you have a fixed income that is $2,000 a month, we take that half of that 50%. So your debts can exceed $1,000. That's including the new mortgage as well. So nothing out of the ordinary about the fixed income. Some people have a fixed income and also a part-time job,
Mhm.
which we can also use as well.
You have another question about land contracts. You
Um,
gone completely or you still working with land contracts? Is that the
so yeah, so generally what we do with land contracts, land contract. So we don't want to say we don't finance them, but if you're on like a land contract, generally it's recorded through the county.
Mhm,
And if it's recorded through the county, that means you own that home. That would be considered a refinance.
mhm.
Yeah. So if you own the home already, you're not buying it, you're just refinancing it. So you would just get out of your you would just get out of your current land contract into a traditional mortgage. So yes, we are able to do that. But as long as it's financed, as long as it's filed with the county, then we're able to do it. If not, then you're just considered a renter. So yeah,
Oh, so
land
they are
contracts
still around.
are
Okay.
yeah, they are still around. Some people do them. They do call in with land contracts and they want to finance it to a regular mortgage.
So are veterans pretty much the only people that have no down payment when purchasing?
Yeah, for the most well, not for the most part, for the only part. Yeah,
Mhm.
0% down payment will be only our veterans. They worked hard for it, they deserve it. So they bring no down payment, and they still have to pay their closing costs
Okay.
for our veterans.
Now, have you heard anything lately about grants, or does your office offer grants for people that are wanting to maybe need help with the down payment?
Yeah, so yes and no. Grants are so far and few. We get so many questions, and then also there's every state has different guidelines and different programs. Outside of Illinois and Indiana, I'm licensed in about 14 other states. So I mean, it's kind of impossible for me to keep up with every new program or every grant option um, that each state has.
Mhm.
So I'm not familiar with all the grant programs that's available, nor like, if we even accept it. We do have a team that's dedicated for grants that's available, which I don't have the information for resource at this moment, but um, it's not too many that we actually accept. To be quite honest, a lot of it is like a second loan, a more piggyback loan, basically that the client would pay back on the back end,
Mhm.
so that we don't really accept. Now we do have a program that's specific to Rocket Mortgage. It's called One Plus. Basically, what it is a 1% down payment option. In all actuality, it's a 3% down payment, but Rocket Mortgage pays for two of that 3%, meaning that you will only bring a 1% down payment. So it's a 2% grant, uh, which helps a lot of clients keep some money in their pocket. And then
Mhm.
of course you still have to bring your closing costs as well.
Mhm. Now, can you help us understand how you determine the down payment based on what exactly?
Yep. So down payment is generally just like a percentage of whatever the loan amount that you're looking to borrow. So I like to use $100,000 because it's the easiest number to divvy up. So for example, $100,000, if you're looking to buy a home, 3% of that of that actual purchase price will be $3,000. So your actual down payment would be $3,000. Just the down payment.
Mhm.
However, you have to include your closing costs as well.
Mhm.
Just for round numbers, I like to say closing costs is like an additional 3 to 4% of the actual loan amount. So altogether, you're probably going to need somewhere between like $6,000 to $7,000 total out of pocket if you're looking to buy a home for $100,000.
Now, some of us, I'm not even aware, what exactly does the closing cost incur? What's
Yep.
included in that? We need to know
Yeah.
that.
So closing costs consist of a few different things. One of the biggest things is just origination. How
Mhm.
much Rocket Mortgage or how much the lender is charging you. Here at Rocket, we do have a flat origination fee, generally 1%, up to $1,500. So I like to just say $1,500 for origination. That's how much we charge to actually originate the loan. That's what keeps all those big buildings with heat and lights on downtown that we have.
Now, purchase.
Out, outside of that, outside of your actual origination, you have your appraisal. Now, appraisals, the costs vary location to location, but generally we can say appraisal will be about $500 to $600.
Uh-huh.
Some places it is more expensive, depends on the property, what type of appraisal is needed as well. But $500 to $600 is a pretty good number. Outside of that, you have your title costs, your title work, making sure that the owner or the seller of the current property actually owns the home and there is like a clouded deed
Mhm.
as well. Title work also, it varies place to place, title company to title company. But generally, I would see these costs range anywhere from I would say about $1,200 to about $3,000. You do get to shop around for your own title company. Generally, I see that a lot of realtors have a title company that they like to work with that they generally just refer clients over to. Um, but once that invoice is sent out to us, then we just send the invoice back over to you, and then you'll see it reflected on your loan estimate. Outside of that, you have your transfer taxes, which generally aren't very much. Once again, depends on location, maybe like $100, maybe $500, so on and so forth. And then you have your prepaids and your escrow account. Now, what prepaids are is paying for your homeowner's insurance for 1 full year upfront, and then you have what's called prepaid interest.
Mhm.
Depending on what day of the month that you close on your new home, you have to prepay for the time that you're actually in the home. So, for example, if you close on the 10th of the month, you still have 20 days, assuming a 30-day month. You have 20 days that you'll actually be in the house, so we'll just prorate the interest for 20 days, if that makes sense. And
And
then
that's part of the closing cost.
that's part of the closing cost, exactly. Yep,
Is
and
there
then vice
anything
versa.
else that we need to know that goes into that closing cost that we're gonna be paying?
And then you have your actual escrow account. So what an escrow account is, you pay your property taxes and your homeowner's insurance in your monthly payment. However, we do collect generally somewhere between like 2 to 6 months, depending on when they're due,
Mhm.
um, where we are in the year. But you pay 2 to 6 months in a separate account called an escrow account or an impound account. The terms I use interchangeably. So that way there isn't a shortage in your escrow account at the end of the year once the bill is due. If there is a shortage, then you'll see yourself paying more in your monthly payment to get caught up
Mhm.
on your escrow. So that's why we collect a little bit of money up front. So
Mhm.
that way there is not a shortage in your account. Outside of that, the only other charges you'll see is something called points. Now, points can be a little bit confusing to clients to explain, but basically, one point is generally 1% of the actual loan amount that you would prepay to buy down your interest rate. So the way that the rates work is, we get our rates from the feds. And I'm sorry if I'm kind of jumping all over the place, but I just see everything in my head, so I'm just trying to explain it as I see it. Um, so we get our rates from the Federal Reserve. So rates may range from a 5.5% up to a 7.5%. And each rate are associated with a cost. So we can probably get you at a 5.5%, but to get you down there low, it may be 3 points. Or we can bump you up to maybe like a 6.5%. They may come with 1 point, or you can take a 7.5% and get no points at all. Now, these aren't actual numbers. I'm just giving an example. So generally, a par rate, you may be at like a 6.99 or a 7%. That's a rate with no points at all. If you say, hey, D Mike, I really don't like that monthly payment. The payment's kind of high. What can we do to get the payment a little bit lower? We can look into giving you a little bit of a lower interest rate. Now, the lower interest rate may come with some points associated with it. So if you don't like the 6.99 payment, we will look into maybe like a 6.5 or a 6.25. That may come with 1 point. It may come with 2 points. It really all depends on where the market is, how much everything is costing at the moment. But basically, like I was saying, a 1 point is 1% of the actual loan amount. So once we buy points, your actual closing costs will increase as well to get your payments a little bit lower.
Hmm. I hear a lot of people say that when you're purchasing points, it really isn't beneficial. It's a
It
waste.
depends. Yeah, so it depends. So you got to look at your overall goal, how long you plan on being in the home,
Mhm.
and where the market is. Excuse me. In a market like today, I don't want to say points aren't beneficial, but I don't want to say that they are either, right? Some clients need points. It's like, hey, D Mike, I really can't afford the extra $50, but I have the money set aside to either bring like a bigger down payment or to throw some money toward getting my interest rate a little bit lower. Sometimes having the larger down payment doesn't make that big of a difference, but if you get your rate down from a 6.99 down to a 5.99 for buying 1.5 points, that makes sense, you know. And once again, just to kind of give like a monetary perspective, if you're buying a home for $100,000, 1.5 points is only $1,500, you know. So it may get your payment down, $50 or $70. It depends on what the market is, what their rate is. But I don't want to say points are useless. They definitely come in handy. In a market like today, I wouldn't really recommend buying too many points if you don't really need to, because we're in a market where the rates are historically higher than what they have been the past 20 years or so, which means they can only go down. So in the past 3 months, rates went from 8% to the mid sixes right now. So
Mhm.
they are on a downward trend. It's just a matter of when we're going to get down to a normal level range like that 3, 4, 5%.
What we're accustomed to, right?
Yeah, exactly. What we used to.
Mhm.
So, buying points in this market won't necessarily make sense because you're going to refinance within the next year or so. Anyway, the break even point has to make sense for a client. So I generally dive into that once they have offer accepting and we're talking about the rate and how much everything is going to cost. And I give two options of an option with points and an option without points and what makes the most sense. But every situation is different. So clients are different. Yeah.
So there's no best loan for anyone. There's no cookie cutter loan.
No, there's no cookie cutters. Everything is all custom tailored to the client. So it's not like a one size fit all. I got clients with a bunch of money
Mhm.
and low income. I got clients with a high income and no money at all. So everything is all designed to the client and what they need. And so are the rates. Some clients want the lowest rate possible. Some clients want a fixed rate. Some clients want an adjustable rate. Some clients want to do 15 years. Some clients want to do 30, somewhere in between. So
You gotta tell us about
everything is
that.
all
Need to know
custom.
that before we talk about the different types of loans that you have. Are you familiar with a program called NACA?
I am not. I've heard of it, but I am not familiar at all. I've had clients call in like, "Hey, you accept the NACA program?" I'm like, I don't know what that is,
Mhm.
to be honest.
Mhm.
Um, I believe it's, if I'm not mistaken, I've heard it to be like another down payment assistance um,
It is. It's something like that. Yes.
program.
It takes at least 6 months for anyone to go through the program, but it is to help people and it actually assist them in finding homes throughout the entire Chicagoland area.
Hmm.
Not focused. A lot of the loans or grants that they're available to people, they focus in on one particular area and not generally spread out. They do
Got you,
assist them and they help them with their credit as well.
got you, got you.
You mentioned that something about a boost. You didn't talk a lot about the credit boost. Can you tell us about that?
The program that we have, the credit upgrade.
Mhm. Credit upgrade.
Yeah. So, credit upgrade is a pretty cool internal program that we have for our clients. It is completely free. We do not charge one penny for it. Basically, it's just to help our clients out who's whose credit score doesn't quite qualify just yet. So like I was saying earlier, generally we have to have at least a 560 in order to get you into the program. Once you're in the program, you get assigned with a credit specialist to take a look at your profile, see if there's any changes that can be made, either big or small, to get your score where it needs to be. So generally, we do need you at least a 580. That's once again just to get your foot in the door for the FHA. We would love to see you at least a 620, to get you really with the FHA with no hiccups or no restrictions. However, if we're looking to go conventional, then I really wouldn't want to look outside of any program besides FHA until you get to about a 680, I would say. But once again, it varies client to client, program to program. I think if you have like a larger down payment, then going conventional would make more sense. But if you're looking to bring a 3% down payment in your 680 credit score,
Mhm.
FHA would still be the best option.
Mhm.
But yeah, but the fresh start program or the credit upgrade program, the program that we offer just to get our clients' credit score higher, and it is free, so we don't charge for the service.
So what do we do with a client or someone that comes to me and says, you know what, Phyllis, I want to buy a house. I want to talk to a lender, but I know my score is under 500 and they need
So
some help.
yep. So I tell my clients still reach out, right? We put together a game plan, and then also you don't really know what your score is because the Credit Karma or Credit Wise, those scores aren't accurate. So what we see when we get it pulled up either a lot higher than
Mhm.
what a client sees on Credit Karma, or it's a lot lower than what a client sees on Credit Karma. I don't know the science behind the credit score, how it's calculated, and what different FICO scores are. That's just not my field of expertise. I know I get the credit score pulled up and let you know what the score is, and then we put together a game plan from there. So I will still have a client reach out regardless, just to see exactly what type of financial shape they're in. So the credit report will be one thing, but if you just file bankruptcy, then we can't help you at all. You know. So there's a lot of things that go into us getting a copy of the credit report to see exactly where we are, what type of financial shape that you're in. So that way we can actually put together a game plan to get you in the house, whether it be next week, next month, or next year. You know.
Now, if they do have a bankruptcy, aren't you able to help them after so many years or are you
Yep.
not? Okay.
Yep. So depends on the actual type of bankruptcy. The only bankruptcy that I really see is Chapter 11 and Chapter 7.
Mhm.
Um, Now, once again, I'm not an attorney. I don't know what the bankruptcies involved, but for chapter 7, you have to be discharged for at least 2 years. And you
Mhm.
can file the bankruptcy, and as long as it's been discharged for at least 2 years, then we're able to get you qualified for an FHA program.
Mhm.
And then with the Chapter 11, as long as you're discharged before we go through application, then we can go ahead and proceed. We can go ahead with the FHA program. Now, if we're looking to go conventional, you do have to wait 4 years until after discharge. For Chapter 7, I believe it's 2 years
Mhm.
after Chapter 11. I've checked my guidelines on that, but I say 4 years in general, just to be safe
Mhm.
always.
Can you tell us about hard money loans? What are they? What is it? What is it used for? How do we?
Yeah, so I don't have too much knowledge on them. Hard money loans is basically though it's financing through an unconventional source. So um we're not going through Fannie or Freddie guidelines to get financing. So it's basically like if you wanted to borrow some money, you're not eligible to qualify through Fannie and Freddie because there are guidelines that we have to follow. You would go through hard money source.
Hmm.
Um, and then they have their own guidelines whether they want to approve you or not. Um, but completely different from what I do.
Does it take them a while to make their approval or not?
For for hard money, I have no idea. It's like almost night and day
But for you
between.
to get the approval for someone that's coming to you, how long does it take after they get all the documents in to get
Oh,
that?
for an approval, so generally a pre-qualification, like you basically telling me how much money you make, how much money you have set aside, um how much of a loan amount that you're looking for. That takes about 15-20 minutes, not long at all. Now, however, that is considered to be a pre-qualification. Anybody can call in with a qualifying score and say to make $100,000, I'm looking to buy a house for $200,000. that's easy. I can get you out a letter. I can get anybody out a letter in all actuality. However, we do have to collect pay stubs, your most recent, and then we collect also 2 years of W-2s, as well as 2 months of a financial institution statement. So whether it be your retirement account or your checking and savings account. And then I send all that documentation down to my underwriters. They verify that, that everything is all legit. And then they give you what's called a verified approval letter.
Mhm.
Now with Rocket, our verified approval is pretty cool, because we kind of put our money where our mouth is. So either we close on your new home or we give you $1,000 uh, if we messed up somewhere qualifying you down the line, if it's our fault. So like if we come back and we say, hey, actually your income doesn't qualify, we messed up, then we'll give you $1,000 just to say sorry. But basically, that's what you want to have in all actuality before you start shopping, that verified approval. Um, we just know that you're fully underwritten. You have that confidence that you're the coolest buyer since sliced bread. To be honest, out there shopping the market, you're more than qualified, and it's also recognized by realtors. They know, like, if you're working with Rocket, do you have a verified approval? If so, then we know that your financing is rock solid. You shouldn't have any issues as far as qualifying.
How long does that approval last?
Generally, approvals are as good as 3 months. So it's just as long as your credit report will last. So your credit report only lasts for 3 months before we have to get it pulled up again. So your pre-approval is good for 3 months. Super easy to renew. You wouldn't have to resubmit any documents again. We just get an updated copy of the credit report pulled up, and you're all good to go.
So you wouldn't have to pull my credit again either?
I would. Yep. So we get an updated copy of the credit report pulled up, and then you'll be good to go.
Would that hurt my credit?
I don't want to say yes. I don't want to say no. That's my political answer, right? It is different from shopping for a car or a credit card. It looks a little bit different on the credit report. We only do one pool, right? So we're not like a car dealership where we're sending your file to Chase, Bank of America, Huntington, and then they hit you 7 times. We're just gonna get a copy of the credit report pulled up one time, and that's it. So I've never had a client come back to me and can complain like, "Hey, D Mike, man, my score took a hit like 50 points, man. You guys got a copy of the credit report pulled up." Generally, if something like that happens, I mean, your credit score is already probably pretty
Um,
pretty hit. But also what you see on Credit Karma, like I was saying earlier, versus what we see when we actually get it pulled up, um, is a big difference. Credit Karma is a simulation score, so it's not like an actual credit report. It just tell you what they think your score is based upon the item that's on your file, versus when we get it pulled up. So
so if I would have purchased with you, or if I had a client that wanted to purchase with you, and 6 months down the road, the interest rates drop pretty good,
mm,
and they said, okay, you know what, I want to refinance. Would
yeah,
you
for
it'd
sure.
be okay?
Yep. So
Uh,
we refinance. You have to make this 4 payments with Rocket Mortgage anyway. Once after your fourth month, then we can look into doing what's called a rate in term. So if you got locked in at a 7% initially, and you want to refinance, now the rates are down to like a 4 or a 5%. Then yeah, we can definitely take a look into it, and see if it makes sense for you to refinance. Now the great thing about Rocket is we have something called an internal loan tracking system. Basically, we service all of our loans once you close, meaning we're not going to ship off your servicing to someone else. We're going to keep everything in-house. You'll make your payments to Rocket Mortgage. You'll call Rocket Mortgage. Generally, if clients have questions about their mortgage, they always call me. I just get them transferred over to servicing. But you know exactly who you're making your payments to, and you have a direct contact here at the company. Now, what that does for the client is it allows them to take advantage of what's called a, a loan tracking system, that we have. Basically, we always keep track of our clients' rates where they are now, and of course the market as well. So once the rates drop down lower than what our client currently has, it triggers in our system that it triggers in our system what's called a complimentary mortgage review. So we take a look at the client profile, we take a look at the current market, and we say, hey, it may make sense to refinance. Let's kind of dive into it and see if it does make sense. If it does, then of course we encourage the client to refinance. If it doesn't, then once again, every client is different. Maybe they plan on selling, or they're comfortable where they are, or they don't qualify for it right now.
Mhm.
And the benefit of refinancing with Rocket Mortgage, again, is the discount. We generally don't charge origination. The appraisal is done in-house, and we just transfer over your escrow account. So
Mhm.
um, average refinance cost is about $6,000 to $7,000. Generally, when we refinance a current client, it's probably somewhere between 3 to 4 thousand. So it depends on the loan amount.
Mhm. 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 Now, does Rocket Mortgage
Yes.
actually, sorry, I thought you said something. Does Rocket Mortgage
No,
actually,
no, this is my dog over here snoring. It's
oh,
crazy.
I can't hear it. Do
You
they
can't.
finance commercial properties?
Oh, we do not do anything commercial work, so we're all residential. Um, so yeah, and then we also do multifamily properties. Anything less than 4 units, we will finance. Anything more than that is considered commercial. So 4 units or less, multifamily, we're able to finance. Anything 5 or more, we're not able to finance. So all
Special use?
residential. Say that again.
Special use property?
Depends. So you have the multi-use property, like if it's like a business down low and a condo up top. So I haven't checked that guideline in a while, but what it used to be is you have to own the business below, and um, it had to be primarily residential.
Mhm.
So that gets sticky in there.
Mhm.
But
Not church,
guidelines are constantly changing.
not churches though, right?
No churches. No, we just had a client.
Oh, it's special.
Yeah, churches don't pay taxes, so and it takes a while
Does it?
for that to get transferred over. So we just stay away from it completely.
Okay. Well, I think you probably, is there anything else that you want to tell us that we probably didn't touch on? You probably elaborate on for us? Because I know the
Um,
viewers have a lot of questions that they want to, they really want to know that most people, when they're purchasing, a lot of people, I deal with a lot of first-time home buyers.
mhm.
First-time home buyers are more fearful of taking that leap because they think that they're taking a big responsibility, but they're really taking on the same responsibility where they are. It's just
Yeah,
not
so
theirs.
yeah, for sure. So I always tell my friends, that all my clients and whoever I come across, like, buy a house. Like, I don't care what you do, buy a house. Like I said, I'm all for the better of our people, and wealth is built through home ownership. Something that we didn't have access to back in the day in the 60s, and we weren't able to get houses in certain areas at all when houses were $11,000. And like, for example, in New York, in Harlem, in Brooklyn, those brownstones are now selling for $2 million. Um, so you get your foot in the door. Granted, it is a long-term play. I mean, but you're not doing it for yourself. You're doing it for our generations to come. To set ourselves up for your grandchildren and their grandchildren. Uh, like, for example, my grandmother, she has in her will that the house will go to myself. That I'm gonna take care of it, and you never sell granny house. You
Mhm.
know, but if we were to, we take that money and we divvy it up between the family. And now my grandmother's house is paid off free and clear. She passed down something to us. So she left this earth doing something for her family, and that's ultimately is the goal. You make sure that you leave your family something besides some debt. That's what I tell my clients and my friends all the time. So always buy. It's gonna cost you about the same, if not cheaper, to be quite honest. I mean, how much is rent in Chicago for a 3 bedroom house right now?
Oh
It's
my
it,
goodness, 3
it's
bedroom,
crazy.
probably get a 1 bedroom for well, a little over, about 1,200 a month.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Yeah.
I had clients that racked up in Illinois during COVID, $250,000 houses. Their payments are $1,400 a
Mhm,
month, including property taxes and insurance.
mhm,
Now, rates are a little bit higher. Payments aren't that bad, but you can always refinance,
mhm,
right? So most people are afraid of, I guess, the commitment, but you're making a commitment even when you're renting, or maybe like repairs. Tell my clients, like, the repairs aren't going to be with what they are. Generally, you do an inspection before you buy a house to make sure that there aren't any repairs needed. Other than that, nothing really breaks on a home. And if something breaks, I don't know, I'm a DIYer. You know, I hop on YouTube University real quick to get something
Oh,
fixed. You know, so I do everything myself. But um, you know, you look into that stuff. So it's an extra responsibility that comes with being a homeowner, but ultimately it's worth it. You save so much money. There is no rebates on rent. Like once that money is gone, you know, it's gone. You can always get the money out of your house once you sell it. So
tell us some of since you've been on both ends of the spectrum, as we all are or have been, but you're on the other side as a lender. What are the advantages of actually being a homeowner and not renting?
yeah, I mean, I mean, it's your money. Like the equity that you build is your equity, right? Versus if you're renting, this to kind of put it in like a monetary perspective. Pull up my calculator. If you're renting, let's say for the past 5 years, you pay $1,200 um, a month. That's $14,000 a year times five. That's $72,000 over the past 5 years that you've been paying for rent. That's not. I mean, it's gone. You'll never see it again. You
Yeah.
know, there's no rebates on it. Like it's a wrap. You know, that money is gone. Versus if you took that $72,000 and you put that towards some equity. Now, some of it goes towards property taxes, some of it goes towards homeowners insurance, some of it goes towards the interest over the principal. But you can always sell your house,
Mhm.
and properties do appreciate. And the way that the market is going, properties are going to continue to appreciate.
Mhm.
So you will get that money back. So
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm not into wasting money.
Mhm.
I'm all about my finances, my savings, and making sure that I'm leaving something for my son. Was my fiance just had a son, so that he set up for the future. But ultimately, all this
Congratulations.
gonna be his regardless. Thank you.
So someone that wants to make an investment, okay, I don't have a lot of money. I need to put my money somewhere where I can have generational wealth. I may not be able to go out and buy a 10 flat or a 4 flat, but can you give me an idea of where I can start and what my credit score would have to be so I can probably get something like that? Maybe a 4 flat or a
Yep.
small home in a nice neighborhood.
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, there's plenty of ways to do it, right? I mean, if you like looking to start investing or to get into real estate just in general,
Mhm.
um, I mean, you just start with a single family, you know, just buy one house. You don't have the money, just start setting aside the money. You know, that's the first step.
Mhm.
You know, put up a little money for yourself so that way you got enough money for a down payment. We can have the seller cover your closing costs. That's called a seller concession. Um, and then you live in the house for a little bit, maybe for a year, maybe two, and then you build up some equity in it. And I'll circle back around to that question in the chat. Um, but you build up some equity in that property. You rent it out to someone, and you go buy you another one. Now you got an investment property, and
Mhm.
you also got you a house that's getting paid for by your investment property, or at least some of it is getting paid for by your investment property. You know, you do that again, you do that again, you do that again. You look up, you got 5 properties
Mhm.
that you own. You know, and they are rented out. A good way to also do it is maybe like house hacking. So you buy a two-family unit instead of buying a single-family unit. You live in one half and you rent the other, which you can still do with the FHA, still bringing a 3.5% down payment, which is nice.
Mhm.
And and to answer the question in the chat, yes, you can use the rental income to offset the monthly payment. That's called proposed rent. So if you're looking to buy a multifamily unit and it's already rented out, then yeah, we take into consideration the monthly payment for the other half of the unit to get you to qualify. So yeah, but yep. So yeah, you do that, get you a multifamily, and a year and a half you move out, go buy you another multifamily. Now you done did 2 transactions, but now you got 3 unit properties, 3 rental properties. So there's plenty of ways to get into it. I um just need a rental agreement. You got it. Yep. There's plenty of ways to do it. There isn't like a right or a wrong way. There isn't a rule book. You
Mhm.
know, you just gotta do what's best for you. You know, what makes sense for you at the time, and kind of do your research. If you got questions, always feel free to reach out to anybody that's in the field. Um, Mostly people don't mind. answering questions. Like this is something I'm passionate about. I got clients and friends that ask me all the time. Like I can go on and on about this stuff all day,
Mhm.
free of charge. Just giving people advice. This is what I like to do. So most people they want to help. They enjoy helping. I just say this: don't be afraid to ask. Most people just don't like the feeling of being of asking questions. Don't want to feel like a dummy. But and when it's your money, there's no such thing as a dumb question. So reach out.
So coming to you, wanting to purchase any type of property or make an investment into some real estate
Mhm.
for residual income,
Yeah,
not knowing what I want to do or how to do it, you're the numbers guy. I can come to you. You can make it work for me. Tell me how I can make it work in the future.
that's correct. Yeah,
Share your number, your information, all of your social media links so we know how to get in contact with you because we
yeah,
need you. We need somebody to
yeah.
talk to that can lead us in the right direction.
Oh, for sure. For sure. So just one more time. My name is Damiquel. I'm Damiquel Williams, D Mike for short. Just the spelling of that name is D like David, A like Alpha, M like Michael, I like Igloo, Q like Queen, U like Umbrella, E like Edward, and then L as in love. Last name Williams. That's common spelling. Type my name in into actually into Google. My social proof of my Rocky Mortgage link to pop up. It's the first thing that'll pop up um, on Google. And then a few pictures of me in like high school playing football. I mean, my mom on Facebook or something like that. But all social media is Damiquel. My Instagram is Damiquel. Facebook is Damiquel Williams. LinkedIn is Damiquel Williams. And then I'm not on Twitter or TikTok or anything like that. And then my direct line at my office is 313-545-1764. And then my cell phone number as well, which I have clients sometimes call me on the weekends. It's 586-344-7695. And then also Phyllis have all my contact information. So if anybody have questions or want to reach out, always feel free to get my contact information from her.
Give us those numbers one more time. Just the
Yep, for
phone.
sure. So, yep, nope, definitely. So that office line is 313-545-1764. And then my cell phone number is 586-344-7695.
All right, there you have it. I have been saying his name wrong for how many months or so? I'm so sorry. But D Mike, we love you. We appreciate you coming
I love you as
all
well.
the way from the Motor City to the Windy City.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, I'll be there. I'll be there on Monday. So we'll make sure that we get together. So no worries.
Yes, yes, we're gonna do that. I wish you were coming for the weekend so we can be here with Super
I
Bowl.
know, I know. When I actually work this weekend. I'll work tomorrow. So
I
um,
understand. Well, see,
yeah.
you have it. I'm trying to bring to us as a community the people that we can actually assimilate with, talk to freely, be comfortable with. You can ask any questions that you want. I want you to be as knowledgeable because knowledge is power. So I want to thank you again for coming, being with us, opening up himself to us, all the questions that we had. You have his number, you have his point of contact. If you don't, you can always call me 708-968-7078. I'm here, I'm available to you all the time, Monday through Sunday. Call me, I'll put you in contact with the gentleman, and we're gonna manifest together. Thank you for coming. On next month, I'm going to be offering, and that will be March, Love Your Home Journey. So come with me, stay tuned. Follow me on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. And if I miss anything, all the social media platforms, because I'm going to have another mortgage person and possibly an investor to talk with you about it from a different perspective. Join us because you can't go wrong manifesting your dreams. Stay blessed. Remember, God, family, and real estate. See you next month.